Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Acad FM, and you're listening to the sounds of syntax from the road. I'm Teacher Paulo, checking in from a transit lounge that smells faintly of burned coffee and jet fuel.
And I'm Teacher Mariana, coming to you live from my academic bubble abroad, where the libraries are dusty, the coffee is definitely overpriced, but the sociological takes are always fresh. It is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026.
Today we're opening up the dossier on a very specific set of class notes. We're tracking the progress of our star student, Mireilly. She's a pre-med student from the Brazilian Midwest, Mato Grosso do Sul, and she is, well, on a mission.
Oh, a massive mission. She's prepping to move to São Paulo for her freshman year at USP. And for those listening outside of Brazil, that is the big leagues.
It really is, the country's best public university, the academic pressure cooker.
Totally. So the stakes are incredibly high.
And we're guiding her through the B1 level of the Common European Framework. Now, B1 it's such an interesting threshold. It's that moment where you stop being a learner who just points at things and says, the cat is on the table.
And you start becoming an independent user. It's the shift from concrete to abstract. You're not just ordering food anymore. You're, handling complex texts, debating abstract topics.
Navigating the world without a translation app is a crutch.
Exactly. And looking at today's materials, the jump in difficulty is, well, it's palpable.
It is giving me serious MTV vibes, if MTV were run by sociologists, I mean. It's this high-energy mix, but it anchors into some incredibly heavy, real-world topics.
It's a fascinating juxtaposition. On one page, you have grammar rules about washing dishes, and on the next, you have UN data on femicide. But that's language learning, isn't it?
I suppose it is. You have to be able to talk about the kitchen sink and the state of the world.
Oh, sure.
But before we wade into those heavier waters, we need to acknowledge the progress. We have a scoreboard to check.
Let's see the numbers.
Stars won today. 13.
13 stars. That's a solid haul for a single session.
For the uninitiated at Academia BSB, we gamify the hustle. It's not just about getting a gold star on your paper. Every activity, every piece of homework, it earns estrellinas.
There's actually some solid behavioral psychology behind this. Learning a language, especially at that B1 intermediate plateau, can feel like you aren't moving.
Right, you study for weeks and feel like you know the same amount.
Exactly. So gamification provides that immediate dopamine hit. It visualizes progress when your brain can't quite feel it yet.
Plus, the incentives are tangible. Mireilly is climbing the ranks for the monthly giveaway. We're talking books, pencil cases, mugs, T-shirts.
The swag factor is high. Or she can use them as currency to pay for future courses. It turns effort into equity.
So 13 stars is a power move.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mireilly.
Well deserved. Okay, let's shift gears, the reading analysis.
Right. This is where we leave the gamification behind and step into the real world. The source material today is heavy. It's from UN Women articles.
The focus is on 5 essential facts to know about femicide and a piece on International Women's Day 2026. The theme for that year is rights, justice, action.
We're looking at data finalized from 2024. And I'll be honest, reading through these notes, the numbers, they just stop you in your tracks.
They're staggering. The report states that in 2024, get this, every 10 minutes, a woman was killed by a partner or a family member.
Every 10 minutes. Just think about that. In the time it takes to listen to this analysis, statistically, another woman has been killed by someone she knew.
That's 50,000 women and girls killed worldwide in just 1 year by people they should have been able to trust.
And we have to be precise with our language here, which is what the class focused on. The text explicitly defines femicide. It's distinct from homicide.
Right. It's the intentional killing with a gender-related motivation. And that distinction is so critical for a student to understand.
Why is it so critical?
Well, because if you treat it just as homicide, you miss the root cause. Femicide is driven by discrimination, by unequal power relations, by harmful social norms. If you don't name the gendered motivation, you can't legislate against it.
It's not just a crime of passion.
It's a crime of structure. Exactly.
And the geography of this is telling. Being a traveler, I see different cultural contexts, but this issue seems to just ignore borders. The report highlights that in 2024, Africa recorded the largest absolute numbers.
About 22,600 victims, a rate of roughly 3 per 100,000. But the Americas and Oceania are also high, hovering around 1.5.
While Europe and Asia sit lower, around 0.5 to 0.7.
But I want to add a caveat here, what I call the iceberg issue. The report itself notes that these numbers are likely a massive undercount.
Because of how the data is collected.
Exactly. For roughly 4 in 10 intentional murders of women, there just isn't enough information recorded to even classify them as gender-related.
So they just go down as unsolved or something generic.
Right. So when we see these lower numbers in some regions, we might just be seeing worse record keeping, not safer streets.
Which leads us to a term that popped up in the vocabulary notes, failed state. Now, usually when we hear that, we think of a government completely collapsing.
Anarchy in the streets, yeah. But the context here is more subtle. In this context, a failed state isn't necessarily a war zone. It's a state that fails to provide basic legal protection to half its population.
If the justice system and the police can't prevent or prosecute these crimes effectively,
then the state has failed in its primary duty of care.
which brings us to that chilling projection from the text for International Women's Day 2026. That timeline to close these legal protection gaps.
286 years.
I had to read that twice. 286 years.
If progress continues at the current glacial pace, yes. That means no one listening to this, nor their children, nor their grandchildren, will see full legal equity.
Wow. The text calls that timeline surrender.
It's a powerful word. And a perfect segue into the vocabulary breakdown. Mireilly had to grapple with some really nuanced terms. We talked about failed state, but there was also equity versus equality.
This is a classic stumbling block for B1 students and honestly for a lot of native speakers.
It really is. So equality is giving everyone the same pair of shoes.
Right. And equity is giving everyone a pair of shoes that fits their feet.
Perfect analogy. In the context of gender justice, equality would be treating everyone the same, regardless of history. But equity acknowledges the deficit. It wants measures that address the historical disadvantage to ensure a fair outcome.
Speaking of the past, there was also the distinction between story and history.
Yeah. In Portuguese, this can be tricky because historia covers both. But in English, history is the factual record, the dates, the events, the data we just discussed.
And story is the narrative.
Precisely. And sometimes the story a society tells itself that women are safe, that things are getting better, is contradicted by the history of the data.
And then, just to give our brains a little break from the heavy stuff, the notes had a very quirky, very English distinction. To do versus to make.
The classic headache.
Specifically regarding the dishes.
Okay, so the rule is you do the dishes when you're washing them. But if you make the dishes...
You're an artisan. You're at a pottery wheel, spinning clay, firing it in a kiln.
Yes. Unless you are literally creating the ceramic plate, please do not say you are making the dishes after dinner. It implies a level of craftsmanship that is just not happening at the kitchen sink.
There were some other sharp terms in there, too. Deleterious, which is a great academic word. Erode. Submissive.
And one that stood out for its informality right in the middle of all these academic terms. Bullshit.
It was right there in the notes.
It was. And, linguistically, it has a place. Sometimes untrue or incorrect just doesn't capture the emotional weight of a lie. Telling women to wait 286 years for justice.
That isn't just incorrect.
That is bullshit.
I think we need a moment to process all of that.
Agreed. Let's take a beat.
Okay. Let's recap what we just unpacked. We covered the devastating statistic that a woman is killed by an intimate partner every 10 minutes. We defined femicide. And we learned that a failed state is really about a vacuum of legal protection.
And to lock that vocabulary in, we have a tongue twister challenge. You ready?
I think so. Let's hear it.
She systematically struggles with structural suppression in the state system.
She systematically struggles with structural suppression in the state system. Oof, that's a workout. All those serve sounds?
It's the sibilance. It forces you to articulate every single syllable.
Okay, let's move to section 3. Usage, grammar, and culture. This is where we take those words and make them move. The notes suggest some role-playing.
Okay, so let's try one. To sign a contract.
Right. Okay, I'll be the manager. So, welcome to the team. We just need you to sign a contract before you start on Monday.
Great, I'm ready to sign. Does this contract include the dental plan?
Always the important questions. But yeah, you see, it marks that formal obligation.
And then there's to file a report, which connects right back to our justice theme.
It does. So if I'm a victim of a crime, I go to the police station.
Right. I need to file a report regarding an incident of harassment. It's the formal act of creating a record, which is crucial because that gap in data often comes from reports never being filed.
Or never taken seriously.
Exactly.
The notes also mentioned a cultural reference that I found fascinating. Julia Lopes de Almeida and her book Memórias de Marta.
Oh, this is such a brilliant inclusion for a Brazilian student. She was writing in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a contemporary of the Enlightenment ideals.
So why connect her to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Because it grounds these abstract concepts. The Universal Declaration didn't just appear out of nowhere in 1948. It was built on the work of writers and thinkers like Almeida. It shows Mireilly that the fight for rights has deep roots in her own literary history.
That makes a lot of sense. Grammatically, there was a focus on a very specific structure. Women have had their rights suppressed.
Ah, the passive causative. To have something done. This is such a logic shift for B1 students. It means the subject didn't do the action, something happened to them.
Right, because students often want to say women suppress their rights, which means the exact opposite.
Precisely. By saying women have had their rights suppressed, you're highlighting that an external force society, the law, the failed state, is the agent doing the suppressing. It removes the blame from the subject.
And speaking of structure, let's look at to have access to health, education.
The mistake students make is treating access like a count noun. You don't make access. You don't give an access. You have access. It's binary.
You possess the pathway or you don't. Affirmative, she has access to legal counsel. Negative, she does not have access to safe housing.
It's a concept of possession, not action.
Let's move to the idiomatic expressions. These really capture the mood of the reading. The first one is poetic and tragic, a promise that never arrives.
That's powerful. We were told new laws would protect us, but for many, safety is a promise that never arrives. It implies a perpetual state of waiting.
What about we should not take it lightly?
That's about gravity. The statistics on femicide are horrifying. We should not take them lightly. It means we can't dismiss it, or joke about it, or minimize it.
And the last one, directly from the text, to close the gaps.
It will take 286 years to close the gaps in legal protection. It means to eliminate the deficit, to bring reality up to the standard where it should be.
That number again, 286 years, it just hangs over the whole lesson.
It does. It contextualizes everything.
Recap time. We discussed the passive causative, having something done to you. We talked about Julia Lopes de Almeida, and we learned the idiom, taking it lightly.
Which we are definitely not doing today.
Ready for the next tongue twister.
Hit me.
He hopes to hire help to handle the heavy history.
He hopes to hire help to handle the heavy history. Lots of H sounds there. Aspiration is key. You have to exhale on those H's or it sounds flat.
Perfect. Now, section 4. Technical skills. We're talking pronunciation, listening, watching, speaking, and writing.
Okay, let's start with pronunciation. The class notes had a false similarity warning that is absolutely critical. Intimate versus inmate.
Oh, a huge difference in meaning there.
Massive. Intimate refers to a close partner, a spouse. Inmate is a prisoner in a jail. You do not want to mix those up.
He is my inmate.
No. Unless you're visiting him in prison, do not say that. It's, he is my intimate partner.
Got it. Other pronunciation targets. Author.
You need that soft, the tongue between the teeth. Author, not otter.
Harassment.
And watch the stress. It's on the second syllable. Harassment.
Discouraging.
Stress on the core. disCOUraging.
And finally, dismantle.
The platol at the end is tricky for Portuguese speakers. They want to add a vowel. It's not dismantly, it's subtle. Dismantly. Think of the word little.
Okay, moving on to listening and watching. The advice here is crucial for a B1 student moving toward proficiency.
Yes, the notes emphasize real-life English native materials. At this stage, Mireilly needs to stop listening to simplified audio for learners. She needs the chaos of natural speech.
So she should be listening to the actual UN reports or news clips about the IWD 2026 rallies?
Exactly. And for watching, the text mentions women in the public eye facing risks, journalists, politicians. So watching documentaries on these figures gives you the real vocabulary of that sector.
It's immersion in the actual discourse, not a textbook dialogue.
For sure. Now, for the speaking activity, the task was to read the text verbatim, focusing on highlighted words. Perpetrators, misogyny, surveillance.
These are high-level cognates. Perpetrators is close to Portuguese, but the rhythm is different.
Misogyny is a tough one. Misogyny. And surveillance, it's smooth. No hard vowels at the end.
And finally, writing. The assignment is an essay based on the reading.
Right. And we're looking at the first draft concept here. The goal for the final version is to focus on action. That's the International Women's Day theme.
The topic is how to dismantle structural barriers.
That's a university-level prompt. If she can pull that off in her second language, she is absolutely ready for USP. It's meant to be published on the school's blog, which provides real accountability.
Writing for an audience, not
Yeah.
just the teacher.
Precisely.
Let's pause one last time before we review the student's performance.
Standing by.
And we are back. Recap of the technical skills. We fixed the pronunciation of intimate versus inmate. We tackled the word misogyny, and we set the stage for a blog post on dismantling barriers.
And we have one final tongue twister. Make it count.
Practices of protection prevent perpetrators from progressing.
Practices of protection prevent perpetrators from progressing. Popping power. That is a good warm-up for public speaking. It forces you to use your lips.
So let's talk about Mireilly. How is she actually doing with all this heavy material?
Honestly, I think she's crushing it.
I agree. We threw equity, continuum, passive causative, and femicide statistics at her in one session.
And the development is clear. She's grasping complex social vocabulary. She isn't just learning words for objects, she's learning words for systems, systematic suppression, legal gaps.
That's the hallmark of moving from B1 into B2 territory.
It really is. There are challenges, of course. The abstract grammar, like the causative, it's tricky. It's a logic shift, not just a translation shift.
But that's the hurdle you have to jump to handle university texts. USP is going to demand that level of reading comprehension.
And she's proving she can handle the heavy history. To borrow our tongue twister, she's well on her way.
B1 is a major milestone, and she is navigating it with style.
And 13 stars.
And 13 stars. Can't forget the swag.
Never forget the swag.
As we wrap up this analysis, we want to leave you with a thought. We kept coming back to that number. 286 years. The text says rights without justice are a promise that never arrives.
So here's the question for you listening, and for me, Mireilly. If justice is a promise that never arrives, what specific action from today's vocabulary list can you take to close that gap faster?
Is it filing a report? Is it dismantling a norm?
Or is it ensuring someone has access to what they need? Don't just learn the words.
Do the action. Keep exploring the language.
Study hard, stay curious, and maybe go make some dishes, literally or figuratively.
This is Acad FM.